did the Wisconsin did shots.
Carry on. Oh, really?
Yes, whenever you are set.
So, who likes ice cream? I mean, come on, everyone likes ice cream, right? So, we might as well learn a little bit about it. Today I want to outline for you a brief history about ice cream. I've been researching this topic for a couple of weeks now, and I feel like I can inform you all about the origins of ice cream. Today I will discuss how ice cream was discovered, how it was made, and how it improved. According to Chester Lewis, a specialist in the history of ice cream has gotten itself mixed up with some of the most famous people in history. There was the Roman Emperor Nero, who would send slaves to the mountains to retrieve fresh snow, which he would mix with fruit juice and honey. Another was the great adventure of Marco Polo, who brought Europe his first recipe for ice cream from China. And since ice cream was popular in Europe, it was popular with Americans too. Ice cream was consumed by George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and all the nobility. As you can see, ice cream was consumed only by famous people because it wasn't very easy to make. Ice cream was made very differently from how it is done today. It was made out of lots of ice, salt for freezing, milk, cream, eggs, sugar, and flavoring. The small pot in which those ingredients would be poured into would be shaken up and down by one person, while another held the bowl with ice and salt. The result would be slushy with little pieces of ice in it, unlike the creamy ice cream we see nowadays. Ice cream was expensive to make, so throughout the 1700s, it was mainly for the rich. Up until 1843, a Philadelphia woman named Nancy Johnson invented a powered ice cream machine, which was the first ice cream machine created, as you can see right here. It was named the hand crank ice cream maker, or the hand crank churn. This machine reduced the rigorous process of making ice cream to just turning a crank. And this is the little square to see what is placed. It's basically this, but a little bit more detailed of what's in it. The inner can was placed in the outer bucket, and the salt and the ice and salt were placed between the inner can and outer bucket. The salt lowered the freezing point of the ice, and contact with the inner bucket made a thin layer of milk freeze on the side of the inner can. The rotating paddle, which is right here, was placed inside of the inner bucket, and it was turned by a crank, which was placed there, and it would scrape off the frozen milk and let a new layer freeze. And because of this invention, ice cream could then be made in most homes and wasn't just for the rich. Later on, in 1926, a German engineer named Carl von Linz perfected the ice cream machine, making commercial mass production of ice cream and leading to today's modern ice cream industry. So, in conclusion, today I've talked about how ice cream was discovered among famous people in history, and how it was made, and how it made improvements to today's modern ice cream.
Was yours in a plastic bag?
Yeah, plastic bag and a bucket. Outside. One of my friends worked at Cold Stone, so they brought all their stuff there. They cheated. They brought like ice cream and maker and stuff like that.
What the hell?
Yours had milk, vanilla,
And like a little bit of
a
sugar.
little bit of sugar. And you just put it in a cup and a cup or a plastic bag, and a tub filled with ice, and salt. You can shake it.
Oh yeah, I made that.
And it turns into ice cream.
It does.
It just does. I didn't get it either.
One of my friends was making it, and because they used rock salt, he had a small leak in his bag, and all the rock salt was going in. He started eating, he was like, oh, it's so bitter, why is it so bitter?
My teacher had a big giant bag of salt, and then a big ice chest of ice. Just filled up.
All right, well, we don't have a student doing the oral evaluation. She's not here, so I'll just jump in on this. The topic identification is clear. There's a pretty good preview in the speech, but I don't think you're doing as clear a job signposting when you're in the content of the speech as the opening suggests. It's organized primarily chronologically. I thought that the visual was very solid, kind of explaining what's going on inside of the crank, and I thought your explanation about how important the hand crank innovation was in changing the popularity of ice cream was pretty good. I think we could use some more stories on those kinds of things. The background information was kind of interesting, the historical information about the Roman emperors and about the famous Americans who liked ice cream early on. But for instance, you know, how quickly did the hand crank popularize it? What did people use for flavors? How did they consume it? Was it an everyday thing or still a special occasion kind of thing? There's just stuff in there that could make it a little bit more interesting. It stays a little bit dry as it is. And then once you get to you know, the 1920s and the other innovation, it's like boom, you're done. You know, it seemed like you hit a wall and then you just stopped talking, and you know, I don't imagine that there are huge changes in what's going on, but there's got to be something different about the industry over the last 80 years that maybe, you know, maybe it's the innovations about how it's served or how it's been popularized or the kinds of flavors that are available or packaging or any of those kinds of things. Just something to punch it up a little bit, because it sounds almost like, you know, I'm getting the highlights of the Wikipedia article instead of speech. You know, here's a little bit of the stuff on, you know, the history of ice cream, and here's the big innovation here, and then that's kind of it. And you could pull us into it a little bit more. Your presentation, you've got one of those very low-key kinds of voices. You're kind of quiet, and I think you know, maybe I don't want to say shy, but maybe you're not the most outgoing kind of person, and you need to have a little bit more energy as a speaker, because otherwise it just seems like we're listening to you read out loud, and that's not what you want to do. You got to be more into the presentation. We're going to work on that more on the next assignment, so don't fret about that. We'll get you better on those things. All right. Let's see here.